What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers, and today I wanted to do another update on everyone's favorite company, Nikola Corporation, ticker symbol NKLA, listed here on the NASDAQ. Now, as we see, stock right now, $1.02, down 9 cents, 8.1% approximately here on the day. And as we see here, this right here where these random lines are, this was the last time I made the video, August 1st, okay? That was the last update that I did following the first or second I don't even know how many videos I made so far on Nikola. But anyway, this was the last video that was made over here on August 1st. Stock was, it was like 320. Here, let me zoom in a little for you. There you go, see it? So I was drawing my trend lines, bada bing, bada boom, and it was up here at 320, and I said, hey, listen, you know, we first made the video, it was whatever, like $1.40, $1.50 or whatever. The stock ended up dropping, broke the long-term bottom trend line, and then continued down, as we see here, hit new lows of around 50 cents. Then from that point, Then from that point here, 50 cents, as we saw a massive explosion. They came in, I mentioned in the last video, had, one or two deals come in, a couple of millions coming in. Everyone was pumped about these earnings, so then it started to run up even more going into the earnings. Okay, fine, understandable. On August 1st, I did say, obviously, in the numbers, in my opinion, that it was tremendously overvalued now. I believe the market cap was, I don't know, maybe like $2.25 billion or something at that time. And I said that is just ridiculous for a company making 15-20 million a quarter, right? So it's going to sell off even if they beat earnings. I did say also that for the next 1 to 2 days after this, they could potentially pump it up even a little bit more, but I would not chase it because it is most likely going to pull back and sell off. And as you see, not to rub it in, I'm just too damn good at this, I think. So as we see here, the stock ran up to top of the screen, our O, the H, the L, the C. That is the open, the high, the low, the close. And as you see, the high, 371. Much, much more than I thought they really would have brought it up. But again, I've spoken about this. I mentioned it in the Discord, and I'm sure I mentioned it in a couple of previous videos. If you're new to the channel, obviously you have no idea what I'm about to say. But one of my rules is, see, a situation like this, if you're buying like cheap shares of a cheap company like this down at like $2, and then all of a sudden you have a run up into like 3.25, 3.40 going into earnings, usually I'd say 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to sell on the run up into earnings, on that big bullish rally, that anticipation going into the numbers. That's when you sell, right? You lock in those profits, and you secure the run-up that you just were involved in. You don't hold and wait for the stock to sell off, and now you'll break even. Holy shit, now I'm down from where I bought it, even though the company just beat earnings, right? What the hell's going on? So that's why that's usually one of my pieces of advice. If you're a long-term shareholder here, obviously this really doesn't apply to you because you're not trading in and out of the stock every 3 months when they report earnings. But if you're a trader, see, this is what I'm saying. If you're a little tighter on capital, or if you just like to be in and out and you don't like to buy and hold, that's fine. Everyone's different, right? But that's what I mean. Like a situation like this, you'd see it start running up. Holy shit, okay, it's above $2. All right, I'm going to get in. We're bouncing around. Then we start running, 260, 270. Holy shit, we're at 320 going into earnings. Yeah, you have to sell. You have to sell. You just made a quick 40, 50, 60%, really in a situation where you shouldn't have, right? And then, again, the company runs up even more going into earnings. That's when you sell out. That's when you lock it in. But again, that's more short-term trading as opposed to holding. But unless it's a brand name company, like, you're doing like you bought Amazon calls a week before earnings, and you have high conviction, you're confident that they may beat earnings, so you're going to roll the dice, you're going to hold them through earnings, right? Obviously, every situation is different, but again, all hindsight. So if you didn't sell before earnings, you don't want to hear this. Understandable. But anyway, let's get back in action here. So what I said was, even if the company came out and beat earnings, which as you see here they did, very good quarter for Nikola, I did say that they will pull it back and sell off, And at minimum, it should get back to the middle of this range here. And I mentioned, I believe it was like the $1.99, $2 fib level. And as you see here and here and here and here and here, it took multiple days for the stock to finally break that level and go lower. So that was your key level right there. And moving forward in the long term, this may be the key level right here, about $1.99, $2. But again, I did say over the long run, moving forward, again, video made back here August 1st, stock was 320, 317, whatever. I did say wait for confirmation on the close, right? And as you see, it closed like right at that top trend line. And then they pulled it down to retest the 20-day moving average, and then that's where the bounce came running up again going into earnings. So, again, I did say for 1 or 2 days they could potentially pump it up even higher, but in my opinion it wasn't worth chasing, and it is most likely going to pull down, and you can get a better entry. And as we see, that's what happened. But as we pull out here, let me go, boom, a one-year chart here. As you see, right, it broke up above, and now it pulled back, completely sold off all the way back to the bottom. So now you may be wondering what's going to happen. Well, I have no idea, right? But in my opinion, what could happen is that, see like a pullback here to like where we gapped up, what are we looking at? We're only looking at like 95 cents, right? So that's doable. That's only a few cents lower. If we see where this candle, this big green candle closed, we can see 91.4 cents. And if we see where did we open at 80 cents. So 80 could be extreme, but also at the same time, it's realistic, right? Because again, they brought it down to new lows, 52 cents. So to say it could go back to 80 before bouncing back to $1.50 or something is very, very feasible. However, I really don't know if they're going to beat it up that much. You know, of course, it could go lower. However, it's right, again, right at the long-term bottom trend line. The company did technically just beat earnings, even though you could potentially say it could still be viewed as overvalued. But again, you know, if I was to step in here believing in the company, you know, that 2, 3, 5 years down the road, it's going to be worth more. I mean, again, if we buy it at $1 and then it drops down to like 82 cents, I understand you're going to be pissed because you're going to say, oh, as soon as I buy it, it goes down. I paid $1. I could have paid 80 cents. I understand. I can appreciate that frustration. But again, if we turn around 3.5, 4 years from now and the stock's at, you know, $9.50, again, you're not going to say, wow, I remember when I bought it, I could have got it for cheaper. No, you're going to say, bro, I bought this thing at $1. Now it's almost at $10. It's phenomenal. So again, you know, you got to take the good with the bad, and you're never going to time up the bottom of a stock, and you're never going to sell right at the top. So, you know, don't beat yourself up. Like they say, don't sweat the small stuff. Just take what the market gives you and just move on. Stepping into Nikola here at $1.02, in my opinion, may not be the worst case scenario, but again, as I constantly mention in regards to these small cap, especially newer companies that start out so overvalued, you know, they definitely could bring it down and bring it lower if they want to. But I would say probably like that 80-cent mark is probably the bottom. It's probably the bottom, right? Because the company now doing what? We'll say 15, 20 million a quarter. So you're doing what, like 80 million for the year, well, even 100 million. We'll say 100 million for the year. Now the market cap after selling off, you're looking at 870 million roughly. So the company, so now you're like 8, 9 times yearly revenue, which again could be viewed as overvalued, which is why I'm saying they could potentially bring it lower. But I really don't know that they're going to go that low because, in my opinion, again, I think they're going to keep it in this long-term range. And then you have next earnings coming out early November. Estimates jump up to 20 plus million. And then we looked at the next quarter, early February. I don't remember. Estimates may be up to like 35 million or something like that. So like right around here, this next quarter and the quarter after that, that's when the estimates and the jumps in revenue are really going to come in for Nikola. And that's why, again, that's why I circled that point. Because again, I'm not hating on the company. The problem, you know, if you guys own this for years, again, the problem isn't that, you know, people are making videos saying it's overvalued or some guys saying that they suck or whatever. Like, you know, that's not what's affecting the price. Again, The people you should be mad at are the people that priced this stock. Because this valuation was absolutely ridiculous from the get-go. And that's the problem. Everyone jumped in and you believe in these companies, who's like fuel cell, or who's doing, new age batteries, and who's doing hydrogen, and who's making their own damn electric vehicle over here, or they're doing it their own way, whatever. I understand you want to buy into all these, all these fads, all these new companies, all this new technology. But again, take an attractive price. And I know it's kind of like putting salt in the wound here. If you own the stock at $10, $15 and you're down here at $1, like, you don't give a crap about anything I'm saying. And believe me, I can completely appreciate your frustration. But again, like we always say, everyone makes mistakes and no one's always going to be right. So what you have to do is, when you make a mistake, you have to learn from it. That's it. It's that simple. You have to learn from it. So now if you have whatever, $3,000 or $10,000 in your account, and another situation like this presents itself, right? Now you're going to know, okay, wait a minute, because the last time I bought Nikola, all it did was go down for, 2-3 years before it finally started making me money. So with this new company, let me actually look at how much business they're doing. Right? Are they even doing business now? Or are they saying they're not going to do business until 2025? Right? Now okay, well, they're pricing it at $20 billion, but the company's not doing any money, so, this is like all of these other companies again, so I'm going to wait and just let it completely sell off and shit the bed, and then, obviously I'll buy it for pennies on the dollar compared to where it came out. So, again, I know a lot of people may have negative stories tied to this, but we all make mistakes. The key is to learn from them. But again, we could potentially drop down to 80 cents, but I did say over the long run we would probably drop down and bounce and stay inside this range, potentially this quarter and next quarter, February, before we have the pop out back into the 2s and the 3s. So I do still stand by that analysis, because again, as you see, even after the run up, and believe me, I get it, because they really beat the crap out of it, bringing it down to 50 cents. Even I personally didn't think it was actually going to go that low, but I did feel from $1.40, we could easily break $1, but they really just decided to beat the crap out of this thing. And then, as we said, a couple of positive catalysts came in. And that's what propelled the stock, 600-700% over the course of about 2 months. So as you see here, anything could happen, and I really don't think we're going to test these levels again. I really do feel firmly that we're going to stay in this range. So of course, again, $2, in my opinion, might not be the worst price entry. However, of course, you need to understand that anything can happen and the stock could go lower. And as we see here, it does kind of look like we're in like a descending wedge here, going back to the highs in August. However, if we do continue to slip, as we see the bottom Bollinger Band, 81 cents. So that's why I'm saying maybe like 80 to like 82 cents. I think that may potentially be like the all-time bottom right here in the immediate short term, unless the company comes out with, some other negative news. But as we see here, the MACD slipping the entire way does almost look like it's trying to flatten out and potentially begin to curl. That's why I'm saying something like a Bollinger Band here is showing it could drop to 80 cents. And of course it's possible. However, again, it is right at that long-term bottom trend line. So we do have to wait on confirmation on the close. RSI down here at 31.85, right? So this is what I'm saying. This is an interesting scenario because it's not necessarily a bad buy at $1. However, the RSI is so close to that 30 benchmark, and there's still a little bit room down here to the Bollinger Band. So that's why, they could drop it for another day or two down into the 90s or potentially into the 80s before having it pop with the RSI and the wedge lining up, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what I mean. It's all the perfect storm. Then the MACD begins to cross to the upside. That helps, accelerate the stock back up to a moving average or something. So it could go lower, of course, could go higher, obviously, but yeah, in my opinion, might not be the worst price here. And even if it went down before it went up, even back to this mid-Bollinger Band here, $1.48. I mean, off $1. Again, you're talking about almost a 50% move. And again, this could happen just within the next couple of days or the next week or two. You can potentially make 50% returns here. But only time will tell. But if we switch over here to the weekly, let's see what we get. On the weekly, you can see RSI sitting at about 39 1/3. So that's what I mean. It could potentially continue to slip. Looks like the MACD is actually about to cross there on the weekly. So this is why I'm saying it's not necessarily a bad entry at 102. However, they could bring it down to sub $1 again. So, that's why, again, obviously you have to understand the risks involved, but, could be a decent entry, but at the same time could drop 20-25% before rebounding and going higher. The bad thing is you see it rejected here, the mid-Bollinger Band on the weekly, and now it actually looks like the stock looks like a bearish hammer right now, which of course is bearish, and that could also add to the sell-off. So a couple of the technicals here on stock charts kind of looking more negative than positive. But again, the one good positive that we do have is the fact that the stock is right here at the bottom long-term trend line. So we could have a bounce, we could have a break, and just went up a couple of cents here since we started talking. So as we see, anything can happen. But again, as I laid out, even from when I first spoke about the stock, it was just immensely overvalued. I don't buy into the theory of just buy a company because they're in the battery sector, or buy this IPO, go all in because it's a new EV company. Like that. That is not how your mind should be working. I'm sorry to come at you and be personal, but that is not how your mind should be working. I already laid this out for you, even going back looking at other EV stocks like Lordstown Motors, which of course has been delisted, and then Mullen Automotive, MULN, right? I said that was a piece of crap. No one should touch it. Of course, anyone who owned it was like, hey, screw you. And then what happened? The stock completely shit the bed and dropped down to new lows. Why? Because they're not doing anything. Okay, it's very simple. If a company is not doing anything, you don't have to buy them. That's fact. Not even opinion. That is fact. Oh, but they're saying they could be the largest producer? Yeah, no shit. No shit. What do you think they're going to say? Oh, we're just going to be another player in the game. We'll be lucky to get 5% market share? Like, who's going to say that about their company? They're all going to talk bigger and better things. Why? So that you buy them. Again, remember, a company like this inevitably going to sell off and hit new lows. I knew it back in 2020. And people still can't grasp it. We're approaching the end of 2023, and they probably still don't understand why they're not making money with Nikola and why are they keeping the stock down, right? Meanwhile, it's very simple. It's all in the numbers. A company that does 10, 12 million a quarter is not worth $2-3 billion. That's a fact. That's a fact. So any of these little rises here, guess what? That's you and your friends buying it. I promise you, that's you and your friends buying it. Because anyone who really knows the market or really knows the company and is watching this stock, they're all shorting. I promise you. And they made big returns here the whole way down. So, I know it's a pain in the ass, and I know it takes some time, but you have to do what we call due diligence. You have to do your own research. And again, a situation like this, they could potentially, as I said, be gearing up in the next 1 to 2 quarters for some big, big things. And that's why, if you do believe in the company and you are looking to hold long term and you potentially are not already involved, getting in here at around $1 may not be worst case scenario. Because even if it does dip down and remain rocky, you could potentially, in the next 1 to 2 quarters here, going into February, you could potentially have a situation that is going to pay off very, very well for you. But I just want everyone to know, hey, listen, we're at a key level here, but you have to be aware of the volatility and the risks involved. But again, I know this was a popular company, so over here, I said stay away, and boom, it dropped down, and then it had the massive run-up, and I said, even regardless of the earnings, it's going to drop down, and it had a little pop, and then completely dropped from, whatever, 320 at my last video, now it's at $1. So, 2 for 2 so far on the timing of the puts, or of the caution, I guess, that I was bringing to the table in regards to Nikola. So, that's pretty good, obviously, for me. But again, if you're involved in the company, just remember, I know you're dealing with the volatility, and even though revenue is inconsistent, it does seem to slowly begin to, it's beginning to come in. So, remember why you bought the stock, and stay positive. Stay confident in yourself, even though you probably overpaid for it. But that's fine. Don't worry about it. But I'm going to end it there because I'm talking too much. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Like the video, thumbs up, algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. Subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. I will do updates on small cap crappy companies like Nikola. I recently, what was it, yesterday, I think, I made the video talking about Disney, right? It's a piece of crap. Stay away from it. What happens? Disney today, new 52-week low, new multi-year low. So, don't hate the player, hate the game. But long story short, I will make these videos for you guys. I'll do updates. If you want, you can join the Discord. It's in the description of every video. And like I said, if I have any short-term day trades or scalp trades, I'll try to call them out in the Discord so you guys can make a couple of bucks in the short term. I will do all of this for you. Just do me a favor. Push the subscribe button. That is how you help me help you. But moving forward, more importantly, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky and they're volatile and they are very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. Hope everyone makes a couple of bucks. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next one.